Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Tonight, the Lokis are off to see the wizard, and the writers go where no Doctor Who writer has dared to go before, all while still somehow lowering the stakes.
Yep, pretty much.
But first, what's going on, guys? How are you two?
I'm peachy.
I'm good.
Savannah
I got a haircut
asks-
today.
You got a haircut?
Did. It's
Oh, it's about shoulder
Shoulder
again,
length.
huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
So odd.
Wow.
Is that a 90s thing? That feels 90s. Shoulder length man hair feels 90s to me. I don't think it is. Any length,
For me, it
Long
was
hair.
long enough to still go up in a ponytail length.
Mm.
It's a tiny ponytail, but it still works.
Savannah asked, did they fall in love? I'm assuming talking about Loki. Maybe. Or at least one did.
Yeah.
Which of your hairs did you get cut? I'm guessing is the joke, Paul.
This one.
That one.
Yeah.
I trimmed up this a little because I was tired of being a neckbeard. I was getting very neckbeardy. What did you cut, Melanie?
Cut my nail.
Your one nail.
Yeah, I only ever do one at a time, you know.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay, we'll do our usual spiel, but I don't have anything else on the agenda other than Loki episode 4. And for once, we might not just have praise to shower the show with. Before that, though, I'm going to... Let me set a timer.
All right.
Hey, chat, what have you guys been watching, by the way? I usually ask. Sorry. I almost forgot.
While they're queuing things up, I've been watching the This Is Pop documentary on Netflix. I've only watched like the first 2 episodes, but the first episode is about Boys to Men. And it's like one of those episodes where you're like, that's right. Boys to Men is the seminal crossover act, and they should get better recognition, kind of thing. Like, so it's a really good documentary, and the spin is in full effect.
What's that on? What's that streaming on?
That's on Netflix.
Okay.
Second episode is about autotune, which was really fascinating.
Interesting. Right.
It's kind of like T-Pain on trial kind of episode. It's
Oh,
like,
really? Okay.
This is T-Pain finally getting his chance to say his piece, kind of deal.
It's so interesting because autotune was not developed to make the autotune sound. It's there to like correct off notes in recordings and stuff. So it has a valid, other than stylistic purpose that I'm sure it's still used. But once somebody figured out you can abuse it and make that sound, that became the defining sound for a few years, for sure.
But the funny thing is, it's like he wanted to make that sound, and everybody was mad at him for it. We're like,
Well,
wait, what are you mad about?
Only because then everybody else jumped on board, I think.
Right.
Because-
Yeah.
Because it
He
comes
featured in
oversaturated.
so many things after that. They were like,
Right.
hey, can you be on my song? Because that way I can use that sound, but then I don't have to. It wasn't me.
Wasn't
me
me.
that used the sound. It was
Right.
him. And I get my cake and I get to eat it. The cake.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Savannah. She said she watched the entire show Evil on Netflix,
Right.
and I think I might have watched that too, but I'm not sure. Is it like a not a priest exactly, but a priest-like person, and then a skeptic trying to solve like church, problems?
Isn't it basically just Luke Cage? It's Luke Cage.
I mean, it's
It's
not
the actor.
exactly. I did watch it. It's interesting. There's a couple things in it that I I really liked. So yeah, good one, Savannah.
Yeah, she said that's exactly it, Melanie.
Yeah, Randy heard me watch some of that too.
Yeah, was that the one
friends.
where you showed me the clip of the lady going off on that one guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, also, Savannah, and we'll touch on this later in the episode, said the clip at the end, talking about Loki, the costume design was awful.
Hmm.
Intentionally so. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like that either, but that's an intentional, like, throwback outfit.
Uh huh.
Um, I didn't realize that was auto tune until the episode. You did not know that sound was auto tune?
The share one is that?
I'm
Is that
just
what he's
assuming
talking about?
Paul's just the auto tune sound in general.
Oh,
Uh, what did we watch? I know we haven't watched more of Katla, even though we were raving about it. We just haven't got a chance.
Hmm. We started watching some movie with a demon woman in a hole, but we had to stop because I was gonna fall asleep. Um,
Oh, Ani Baba, I
uh
think.
huh. Yeah, and then we watched a little bit of a strange anime that looked like it was way older than it was. But I don't remember what that was called.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We watched the first episode, and I was like,
oh,
nah,
I've heard of this.
I couldn't
Someone
do it.
asked, someone asked me to draw stuff for it, or from it, like a couple of free comic book days ago, and I was like, what even is this?
Hmm. It's
I
yeah.
couldn't.
I didn't watch much, and we didn't watch much together because I've been sick for like a week. Um, so I've been sleeping a lot and not really enjoying myself. So
The JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the issue was it was so like the premise sounded interesting. It was something like uh these warring like this power, I don't know, something about basically like a super powered hero and villain, and throughout the decades, like it's passed through their family and there's always some conflict or something. So I was like, oh, are we gonna jump like, you know, that a decade an episode or something like that? Whatever. It sounded somewhat interesting, so I threw it on, and it was just they lean heavy into the cheese. Every character was the most extreme, stereotype. But what's the cliche? I guess
hmm.
Oh,
the hero killer character was just the most cliche, like kind of good guy, but bashful good guy until suddenly, like, he's not tough and he can't do anything until he can. And
Yeah.
the villain was literally like kick a dog in the face and just the worst possible things with
Hmm.
no like, and that's they have no actual personality other than their you know,
archetype.
archetype. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was just so like there just wasn't really anything interesting to it. I was like,
Mhm.
come
No,
on, give him some character.
the best thing to point it out is the bad guy. His dad was dying. Spoiler, sorry, but it's the first episode.
First
And
episode.
he's like, "You need to go and become the richest, most powerful man you can." And he's like, "Don't tell me what to do, Dad," or something like that. And then he's like, "I'll show him. I'll become the richest, most powerful man there is." And I'm like, "How is that showing him? You're doing what he told you to do." It doesn't
Right.
make any flipping sense.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna spit on your grave, and then I'm gonna go do what you told me to do.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Listen, he doesn't play by anybody's rules but his own, and he doesn't even play by those. Uh, yeah. We didn't really watch like anything this last weekend outside of that.
Mhm.
Um, right. Alibaba is an interesting movie that I've seen before years ago, and I kind of wanted to revisit it because I was searching for 60s horror movies, and that come up on a list, and I was like, hey, I've seen that like years ago. Was that a horror movie? So I wanted to revisit it. The issue is it's very much, it's kind of like it's a period piece, I don't know what period exactly it takes place, but it's like, ancient Japan type period. And there's definitely this demon woman fable thing that it's kind of playing on. And I'm pretty sure it's kind of a lower budget indie 60s movie.
Ooh,
But
that
it's very
soundtrack,
quiet.
man. The soundtrack
Right.
was awesome.
But otherwise it's very quiet and kind of slow going. And it's got tension and stuff. But yeah, Melanie's like, I'm going to fall asleep if we keep watching this right now. She didn't, like she said, she didn't feel well.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So we'll revisit that sometime. And that's really it. Yeah, I was looking earlier. The other day, I opened up Letterboxd for some reason. I was like, it's been ages since I logged anything. Have I watched anything? What did I forget? I just don't think I've been watching many movies. So we're exciting.
we are exciting.
Hey, Matty D, by the way.
Oh.
He said, yes, 60s, baby. Today, after you're done listening to this episode, you should go to emcpod.net/reboot, 60s reboot, whatever. Go to electronicmediacollective.com/60s reboot, 60, and check out the latest episode. It's a commentary track that I mentioned last week, in which Matt invited me onto his show, and we watched the 1966 Batman movie and did a commentary for it. And it's good stuff. The movie itself is worth a revisit for sure. And if you're familiar with it, you might as well throw us on and sync it up and watch it with us. We chuckle quite a bit because that's what you do. That's what you do with that movie.
Yeah, sounds like Mystery Science Theater 3000, and that's great.
Yeah, except better than that. You better go listen now. I mean, later, in about an hour.
Or you can go just put it on your podcatcher and download it while you're watching us. And then by the time we're done, it'll be ready to go.
Yep. Like I said last week, maybe I didn't say. I say it on Matt's episode anyway. Batman 66 movie, you can watch it free on YouTube. Now, I'm pretty sure it's a legit copy. It's not HD, which makes me suspicious, but it didn't look like just some rip on some random channel. It looked like a legit free YouTube movie channel. So
Cool.
All right. Well, hey.
Hey.
There's fireworks outside. I heard them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, was it at my house? Probably.
No, it was
tuned
here.
them out at this point.
No, it was here. They've actually haven't. Well, I don't know. I'm in a smaller town than you, but they haven't been too prevalent over here.
No, we've been having fireworks since
Good.
the beginning of the month, or middle of maybe even the last month. I don't know. Long time.
Yeah, it's pretty low key over here. Low key.
I see what you did there.
Speaking of, let's move on. Let's move on to the feature topic.
Okay.
Samantha says they've been awful near her, the fireworks.
That's too sad. I mean, that's too bad because all the deer and woodland creatures will probably be scared.
Sweet tooth.
Yeah. Well, she lives
Everyone
next
should
to.
be scared.
Yeah, she lives next to the forest, so.
Is it like a Disney movie when every morning? Is it like an old Disney cartoon?
I took Chloe to go to the forest once, and we walked around for like an hour or so, and then we went to go to Savannah's house, and we saw more deer on the way to Savannah's house than we did in the forest. So yeah, it probably is, I'm sure.
Like Cinderella?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe The Wizard of Oz? Okay.
Okay.
Wait, was that Disney? That wasn't Disney. It's probably owned by Disney now. So
Yeah, whatever it was, it's owned by Disney now. Come on.
Well, Disney's got at least two or three adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Savannah says, no, it's my own horror movie, and I'm starring Evil Witch. Don't let somebody drop a house on you.
No.
Loki
But
episode.
also don't wear your stripy socks.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't do that.
Loki episode 4. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're here to talk about. And it's clear we don't have much else to talk about. So let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's get into it. Get ready.
I don't really know. I don't know how to approach it. I mean, God, what even happened? So I'm going to throw a spoiler warning up front. I feel like this is going to be hard. Everything happened at the end.
Right.
I mean, some stuff happened, but it was no, nothing happened, and then there was stuff at the end. So the Lokis got reapprehended, and so which
first
of course
they were going to die, right?
Well, first they were going to die. Were they?
Yeah, yes, maybe.
That's at that point. I thought death. I thought that there were still some stakes in this show, so I was like, they're not going to die. They're probably going to like get time arrested. By the way, Sylvie. It's weird to say that name. Sylvie dropped all those like time bombs and created all these crazy branching timelines. So that, last episode was pretty much contained to their very Doctor Who in the rock quarry adventure on this other planet. But the episode before ended with like the TVA or whatever, TVA going wild because they're like, oh, look at all these branching timelines. It's chaos. So it kind of seemed like setting up like, she just destroyed all like the sacred timeline. This episode, not a mention of it. Nothing.
No, in fact, it was like, what's that right there?
What's that
What's that obvious thing?
That timeline branch. Never seen anything like it. There's no other timeline branches on this thing we're looking at somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
What happened to them? That irritates me a little bit. That's weird.
Everybody worked overtime for a week solid and then
Yeah.
cleared it all up.
I guess. That could kind of be if, sure. Because they have time travel abilities. So, like, it could have been, like, a year of them doing stuff. And then they, like, oh, there they are in that apocalypse. Let's jump back and grab them.
That's the problem with this whole setup is that, yeah, if time doesn't move there, but it moves everywhere else, they can do whatever they want for however long they want and still go and get you, like, a minute later. So that's the real power that they have, they have time, all the time they need.
So right off the bat here is my major complaint with this whole episode. Like right off the bat, they're breaking rules they already established. Like they had already established that this is where we can hide. We can only hide in apocalypses. Because we cannot be detected in apocalypses, because no matter what happens in an apocalypse, everyone was going to die anyways. Right? Unless your two Lokis about to kiss.
Well, and here's the thing, though. First, I do want to address Paul's comments, because he said most of the episode was great. I don't know how to rephrase that sentence into an
appropriate one.
They
blew it in the end.
Yes, thank you.
They didn't stick the landing.
There you go. Thank you. Then he asked, did this episode actually happen? Which is a valid wonder.
I don't think
did they get stuck on Lamentus?
I don't think that happened either.
So, back to your point, Jesse. I feel like the Time Bureau going to save them would have reinforced that branch. Because if they weren't going to get saved by the time, whatever. I'm going to call them the Time Bureau. That's who they are. The TVA, if they hadn't got saved by the TVA, they'd be dead and there would be no branch. So the fact that the TVA went to go get them.
Did they set off a reset charge either? Like we didn't see it.
What would they reset?
They wouldn't need to because it's an apocalypse.
Right.
So just plucking them out of the timeline, then that branch disappeared on its own?
That in my thinking, that would have made the branch
right
possible. maybe their thinking is then we're going to go get them. We're going to save them from death to kill them. I mean, they could have, if they figured they were there, they probably could have just left them there to die.
Mhm.
But maybe their thinking was, we'll go grab them and then kill them, and that'll end the branch. But
Maybe-
they never really addressed the branch again. So
Maybe there's something that we just don't know yet. Like if they were started making out, their powers would mold and they'd be able to, I don't know, do some really crazy stuff that would save the world. I don't know. But we don't know because it didn't happen.
Or also maybe they're supposed to survive.
Yeah.
But who determines that? The timekeepers?
Apparently.
Because it's like, we're this close to dying, and now there's a huge branch that just spikes like crazy. And we don't know if that's because they're in love or because they're going to die. Or maybe it's because they're in love and going to die.
Mm-hmm. I have other theories, but
also I called it. I mean, it's obvious they were kind of setting that up, but I was like, so what happens if you mac on yourself? Like, what is that? That's kind of weird. And my favorite part of this episode was Owen Wilson's character reacting when he realized that Loki had a thing for female Loki. His reaction was great. And I'm like, yes, that is an appropriate reaction.
Right.
And in my little intro spiel, that was my whole thing about going where Doctor Who wouldn't dare to go. Yeah, what happens if you get sweet on alternate version of yourself, huh?
there's nothing wrong with a little self-love. Come on.
That's right. Now, here's the thing. Were they in love, or was it just Tom Hiddleston Loki in love? She didn't really seem... I guess she... Listen, she was about to die, so if she seemed sweet on him at the end of the last episode, that's one thing. But this episode, she didn't really seem... When he went to, like... Spoilers. It's gonna be spoilers everywhere. When he went to profess his love to her, she looked like... The look on her face, I was like, oh no. Oh, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. She looks like not receptive.
Just not that into you.
Or just like doesn't have a clue. She does not look like she's on the same page. She's just like, what? You know? So, in a way, he was saved. Because I was like, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. It's going to be so embarrassing. Anyway. Timekeepers are against self-love.
One of the things that
Thank you.
One of the things that the main thing that I didn't like, because like I said, I have a theory about stuff, but the main thing that I didn't like about this episode myself was how quickly Owen Wilson just accepted the TVA being not what they seem, which, I mean, everybody else could guess that, but and I kind of explained it away a little bit just from there was not just Loki, there was other people like asking about the guard from the last episode and stuff like that I think maybe got his brain working, so that kind of makes sense. But still, I would think somebody in his position would be a little more cautious about it all than he was, and I find that part of it pretty unbelievable. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty good.
Well, I think it was clear that I don't even know her name, but like the head TVA judge or whatever, like she's been shady for quite a while, and so they've kind of been sowing the seed of doubt. And so that's the only thing that I can use to explain that away, to the point where it didn't bother me too much. But yeah, he does seem to like flip on a dime. Like as soon as he realizes that, like it's one thing if he's like, okay, I kind of buy what Loki's selling enough that I'm going to stick my neck out and try to find out more. Like that I can believe. But then they have this like moment was like, we're not just in this together. We're friends.
Yeah.
At one point, Melanie said something about Loki has a strange concept of friends, or no, the other, I don't know. They have a
All
strange
of the
concept of
above.
friends
Yeah.
because I thought we were or you're a bad friend. It's like at what point was he
That was
supposed to be
actually a
your
great Owen
friend?
Wilson line, though. That's a
It
great
was.
Owen Wilson. Like that's his version of a dig. Like he's just like I'm gonna say the meanest thing I can think of, and that is you're a bad friend.
I guess that does play into his like
Almost naivete.
yeah, and well, the act he puts up. The act he puts up because Loki even calls him on what you got more folksy crap to say, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's
And
a
it is
folksy
his
quip.
like folksy, nice guy like act that he, even early in the like their first interrogation, he put that on like right away. And you're like, I'm just trying to understand, type
Right.
of deal. And so yeah, maybe that is just kind of you're a bad like part of his shtick.
Hmm.
I find it weird too when, I mean, that's the character, but when Loki just like he just straight up starts lying, and it's just like, I mean, at this point, dude, what do you want to accomplish? What do you think? How is this going to benefit you?
I don't think he was trying to benefit himself. I think he was trying to protect
Yeah.
Sylvie. So yeah. Another thing that is, I mean, it's not really a big deal or anything, but the story of her childhood or whatever, I had some issues with a little bit, and we did talk about it, Randall and I, and like I was saying, you can take however long you want in the TVA, and it doesn't matter, and that kind of explains why she would age when the TVA agent wouldn't. But she's living in a freaking apocalypses, right? How is like a child going to live through in an apocalypse, which I'm assuming they can't last that long, right? So maybe a few days in one place and then have to go to another and live for a few days for all her entire life. That seems ridiculous a little bit to me.
I mean, sure, why not?
Because it's ridiculous a little bit, maybe. Especially look at what she just had happen with Loki in the last episode, having to try to find a power source for that thing so that they could move, so that they could keep from dying. She had to do that like every day, practically all her life. That seems nuts.
I'm sure there's times when she would take it easy.
And as a kid, they implied that she didn't figure it out right away. Like she was running nonstop, so even more Doctor Who-y reference type stuff there. But like for a long time, she was just continually going from timeline to timeline to timeline, because every time she would go to a new timeline, they would there she is, and so she'd have to zip out again.
Plus, they wouldn't necessarily. And Paul says that she said it took her a while to figure out the apocalypse thing, but also like they couldn't necessarily just track her. They would find the branches, so she could ideally go a place and stay for a while until she altered something enough to cause a time branch.
Okay.
The apocalypse thing is just so that she could go and do whatever she needs to do without it affecting timelines.
Okay. I guess I can accept that. It still seems unrealistic to me for a child. It seems like it'd be hard for an adult, much less a child. But
she was wait, what are they? What's
Loki?
the place they're from?
Asgard?
Yeah, she's an Asgardian. She knew. She stole that lady's time tablet, which, by the way, we got to see the display on that thing. And I love the display. How it's like old, like monocolor. Yeah, it's like a Game Boy display. I appreciated that. I was like, the tech here is so weird.
Right.
For the most part, I did enjoy this episode quite a bit. I've consistently been enjoying the show. My big gripe, I don't know. I feel like the writing's really good, and then they have to force kind of ridiculous cliffhangers. And that's where this episode, and Jesse, you'd kind of voiced your displeasure before we watched it yesterday, and you're like, the last 15 minutes, which is almost half the episode, by the way, the last 15 minutes, and I was looking through, and I was like, after we watched it, I was like, the last 15 minutes, and I went and 15 minutes from the end, oh, that's when Owen Wilson shows up and frees Loki. And that's
Right.
when the episode takes a turn.
Yeah,
Because
really
it
does.
does. And I feel like the writing's really good. And then they have to rush through a bunch of crap to set up like the ridiculous cliffhanger. And I feel like that's when the writing of the show is the weakest. Like it's really good, really good, really good. But then they're forced this cliffhanger mandate. And that's when it gets shaky.
It's almost like the action sequences that they just peg on to the end of WandaVision or at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's like they're pegging them on into like this is our mid-season break, I suppose. Peg a little bit of action into the end of this episode to really move things forward for what will be the second half or the last third or whatever we're looking at now, because we only got a couple of episodes left for this to wrap up, apparently.
I feel like the action sequence at the end of last episode wasn't too bad. Ending on that cliffhanger, it's a cliffhanger, and whatever. That I feel like the last episode was paced very well. This one, the fight scene felt weird and sudden and out of nowhere. It's like
It felt like that throne room scene in The Last Jedi. I thought I was watching The Last Jedi with Rey and Snoke and Kylo Ren, and I was like, oh my god. And then spoilers, folks, it's flipping Showbiz Pizza place, and we got
the
rocket fire explosion up there.
Paul makes. I think you're right, Paul. They should have ended this week at the Owen pruning.
Oh man, that would have been so
perfect
good.
ending. That would have been awesome and brutal way to end an episode, but it would have been great. Yeah, at that point, like, it was a shock, but that's when I started to think, oh, they're going to start walking things back. And they might not walk that back. But then... well, before we get to that, let's talk about the what are they? The
timekeepers? Yeah.
When it goes all Wizard of Oz.
Did you guys call that? Did you guys see that coming? Because it was so obvious.
Yeah.
Like they walk in and it looks like there's literal smoke.
Yeah. I try not to reference other reviews when we're discussing a thing, but I heard other people talking and they're like, and this was, they said it was a credit to Marvel. They're like, when something like it looks like there was smoke and it looked weird, and like they're like, basically when it started to look like just any other, like, because the creatures were strange and a little cheesy. Not that the MCU can't be cheesy, it can, but it was a little cheesy. And he's like, and they said when it started to look like how other TV show creatures might actually look, that's when you know, wait, no, this isn't real or whatever. To Marvel's credit, because it's like, when it did, because I didn't like them. I didn't like the creatures, and the look of the stuff was cool. But you're right, it had the lights, it had the smoke, and
so they pulled a rubber mask on a monster, like on purpose. They're still really hitting this. We're Doctor Who, but we're not.
Right. I mean, it's not a surprise though. I don't. Who's Kang? I don't know Kang. Apparently, Kang is a confirmed character for upcoming things.
Kang is confusing because he's a time traveler. So
there
are tons of theories about who Kang is. Kang could just be his own contained character, but because he's from the future, people have speculated that he's actually Doctor Doom. They've speculated that he's other characters that just took on a new moniker, or Kang is just Kang. But he's confusing because he's always a time traveler.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the going theories, is because now we, who's the man or woman or random creature behind the curtain now.
Right.
And that's one of the going theories, because Kang is a confirmed character for, I don't remember what else, an upcoming movie or something. So
I was wondering also if the head agent lady, if she knew that, because she didn't really seem too shocked or surprised by it. But also earlier in the show, she had gone in there and seemed like she was just talking to them. You know what I mean?
I just want to say, Paul says the TVA is ran by a Loki variant. That was a joke I made after the episode last night, actually.
I noticed that she wears green.
Oh.
The head
Interesting.
Loki judge lady.
Mm-hmm.
Or I say Loki judge lady.
Yeah.
Why
The
did they-
TVA, yeah, the TVA judge lady wears
Yeah.
green. I did notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of unsure of whether she would have known or not.
Mm-hmm.
She does seem like the one person there that does know what's going on.
Right.
I forgot what else I was gonna say about that, but yeah.
So then, why is she doing this? Is she going like Highlander on it? And she's like, there can be only one, or something, you know?
It's a lot of power.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe she's burdened by glorious purpose. I don't know.
So then Loki dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, then he gets the wand. He gets the wand treatment.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're also missing out on the whole Hunter B15 or whatever her name is. But that was legitimately good.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good character moment. Like they were kind of showing that something was off with her. Like she was legitimately bothered, and
Mhm.
since day one, she's been the stoic, curmudgeonly, I'm doing my job,
Mm-hmm.
and don't get in my way kind of character. And like this whole time, like to the point where she goes in and confronts Sylvie herself and says, "Show me,"
Mm-hmm.
because I saw things when you were in my mind that I shouldn't, that I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy, and all that, like that would be truly unsettling. It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
I like that, and I'm glad they gave her more to do because that actor is good. She was in Lovecraft Country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, she's
and-
excellent.
and not an insignificant part either. So I suspected there might be more to her character, or they might do more with her. So I'm glad they did.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she it seems like she may be dead now, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
She's in a world of other B-15s, or whatever her name was.
right, whatever other life was, which probably it entailed more than going to that bar and liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Not to backtrack too much, but talking about, what's this? Mobius? Owen Wilson's character?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They definitely planted the seeds, if not for the character, also for the character, but also for the viewers of, a couple episodes back with him and Loki having discussions, and Loki like questioning, like, well, basically having the religion discussion, like, well, how do you know though? Like, you don't know, you're just taking all this on faith, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, okay, well, we see, it's pretty obvious they're going to take that, like, they're going to make him question, he's going to, his character's going to question it, blah, 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 he's going to end up flipping. But I agree with what you guys were saying earlier, in that, like, that flip, I feel like the lead up to it was pretty organic until it's like, suddenly, we need to escape out of here and to bring down the TVA. Like, it's not just like, I don't know what to do, but let's get out of here and let me process this. It's, we need to bring them down like instantly, and that was a bit weird.
Yeah.
Man, Owen Wilson, I am not a huge. I like his character a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's kind of great in the show,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not really a huge Owen Wilson fan by any means. So, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
How many episodes are left?
It's like 2 or 3 or something like that.
When do we get? When do we
Like,
get
that's
Owen
frustrating.
Wilson?
Like I can't see this
jet
ending
ski.
in 3 episodes. Right.
Last
I need a
episode.
jet ski Owen Wilson in my future.
Last
Yeah.
episode, it's going to be Owen Wilson on a jet ski versus Skybeam of some kind.
A sky beam, yes.
Got to bring in a Skybeam.
Yes, yeah. As long as there isn't a dancing witch. What's Elizabeth Olsen doing right now? No, not dancing.
So they pruned Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, yeah, I don't like that. And maybe they're not breaking the rules. It's just clearly it's like, well, pruning just isn't what you thought it was. But it
Mm-hmm.
sucks because it instantly takes all the wind out from under the sails. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's there haven't been any stakes like this whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
If you can get pruned and that's not the end of you, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
then what was all this? Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes the theory that I had not work too. Like if he can't die, then what I was thinking had happened wouldn't need to happen. So you know,
Here's Paul's theory on the last episode. Last episode will be Loki Gator and Lightning McQueen taking on the TVA. I hate
Ka-chow,
Paul.
ka-chow. Wow.
mm,
That's just Owen Wilson's lines right there.
And
Ka-chow,
then Larry the
ka-chow.
Cable Guy wheels up.
Right.
Mater or whatever.
Hansel's so hot right now.
I hate cars so much. That was when Pixar fell.
Radiator Springs. The folly of Radiator Springs.
So what's this last bit? Is it a Battle World? What is this? This last bit. Yeah, how do you guys feel about these other Lokis? Like, throwing a bunch of other Lokis in together makes sense. That's kind of what you're expecting once you get into the premise of what the show is. The throwback costume is a little ridiculous.
Right.
The other Lokis looked fine. I did not notice Loki Gator until I didn't notice it during the watch last night. It wasn't till today that it was pointed out to me, and I was like, "Oh wow, okay, they're going
All right, they're going all in, right?
100%, yes,
Yep.
all in." I guess if anything, I'm super curious to see what's coming next week. Yet at the same time, just a little bit more, no, a little bit less interested than I was previously.
mm-hmm.
Right. Like the show has built up enough goodwill so far that I'm like, all right, I can forgive this, what feels like a misstep or like a breaking of trust almost, in that it's like, you gave me these rules. I thought I understood these rules. And just like everything else, you're saying, yeah, that wasn't real either. Like at a certain point, I have a fatigue that starts to set in. It's like, this was cute, novel, and interesting for a while. But at a certain point, I'm hitting a threshold where I'm like, you know what? I just don't even care anymore, because nothing that I understand is going to be right anyway.
Mm-hmm. I'm still hoping he's dead and he's in heaven, and then what I want it to be could be. Did you think if you went to heaven that it'd be full of Lokis? Maybe it seems like a Loki thing to want.
Well, okay, maybe a Loki thing to want. It's 99 Lokis.
Mm.
And the Sylvie ain't one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, yeah, it's still interesting. I'm very curious, but Paul says classic Loki looked like the old guy from the Kryptonite video. Richard E. Grant is who that was.
I mean, if you're gonna put anybody in a crazy Loki costume like that, I guess get a storied veteran actor in there.
Right. I'm just trying to see if.
And then the other Lokis, while you're looking that up, were the Kid Loki, which again, yet another character that could be tied to a Young Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Boastful Loki, which is a Loki that had bested Thor and actually wielded Mjolnir.
Okay.
At one point. So.
Wow.
I thought he looked cool.
Yeah.
I mean, all we really have to go by is looks, but yeah, classic Loki is what he was credited as. Classic Loki, Richard E. Grant, that is.
That's a fair question, Paul. How is this not the perfect time for James Dean? CGI James Dean, that would have been the big reveal. Man, wasted opportunity there.
Yeah, no kidding.
We still have next episode. I mean, maybe.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I'd heard something about the showrunners say around episode like 5 or so, 4 or 5, maybe episode 5. The series takes a big turn.
Right.
So I'm guessing we're leaning into that turn now.
Yeah.
But what sucks is, at this point, I don't want the show to take a turn because I liked what they had established. Like, I think they had stumbled into a great series that now is going to change because they have which is fine. They have a certain story they wanted to tell, and I appreciate that. But, man, give me more TVA. We're definitely not going to get TVA like it's going to be, or like it was. That could be seasons. I want it.
Right. It's almost like Jimmy Woo from WandaVision and Ant-Man. It's like, we want that spin-off series. Now we want the TVA spin-off series. But the way that this is going, like, the TVA is not even going to be a thing anymore. Like,
yeah,
I guess
it's ruining the one cool thing of the show.
I can appreciate that, where they're like, they come up with a good thing, and then they're like, but we've got a bigger story to tell. We're going to move on. I guess I respect that versus come up with a good thing and then, ooh, let's milk this until it's not a good thing anymore, until it's dead. So I guess I appreciate that. It's a little bit like WandaVision. Like, I'm concerned with where it's going because, like, WandaVision, there was the one aspect that I really liked, but then eventually it just kind of turns into, like, MC Universe stuff, just regular old MC Universe stuff, and I didn't like that. I mean, it was okay, but it's like, that's the boring stuff. Right. I like the kind of weird concept stuff, and I don't know. I feel like Loki's not about to go, like, he just, classic Loki and alligator Loki were staring at him in that last scene. I feel like we're still not going into regular boring MCU stuff, but yeah, I don't know.
We're wading into these weird waters where it's like, part of me is like, I'm still intrigued. I still want to see what they're going to do. But, like, the stuff that we've seen in the trailers that we have yet to see more of, is like, we're going to have the vote for Loki.
Yeah. Where's President
aspects.
Loki?
Yeah. That's still coming. And it's like, how and why?
Right. Like, that's, you make a good point. President Loki, where's that? Well, we got like 2 episodes left. Like, how are they going to shoehorn that in there?
It's probably in their little Loki heaven. They all got to vote for the King Loki on Loki Land. So, you know.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Marvel fanboy. I'm not one to be like, whatever they do is great, because I've seen Thor 1 and 2. It's not always great.
Right.
But that's where I recognized him from. He was the Great Intelligence in one of the Christmas specials for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That's right.
He was
like, he looks really familiar, and I don't know specifically why.
Yeah, that's what I had to Google. I was like, I know him, but what's he been in? A lot of stuff.
Right.
He was speaking. Man, it's jumping into other fandom things. He was the one that everybody was like, he's the Valyard, isn't he? He's the Valyard. Right. And then he wasn't. Everybody's like, what are you doing, Moffat? Where are we going to get the Valyard?
Including us, we were like, Moffat.
What a missed opportunity. You tease us with it. He even mentioned it.
Yeah.
Do we want the Valyard, though?
They've done some cool stuff with the Valyard in, like, the Time War. They threw the Valyard in the Time War, because in the Time War, anything and everything is being used, like, for the good of for the good of the war effort. I mean, like they're
Mhm.
doing really fun stuff with it, and so they like threw the Valiard into almost like a time loop area, and he's essentially just sustaining that time loop so that they don't have to mess with it,
Mm.
Interesting.
which is like a brutal Time Lord way to just dispose of something they didn't want to deal with anyways,
Mm.
but kind of perfect.
Is Ruth the Valiard?
No,
You know what's I heard just
although that'd be
recently.
better.
We're
maybe.
off
I
topic
don't know.
here, but let's jump over to Who for just a moment. I heard just recently that Chibi has no plans. He's just winging it.
Yeah.
Because Ruth, all the way up to like, I think maybe it was either written, I mean, it was written for sure, or they might have even been filming. Ruth was not going to be the Doctor.
Oh.
And it was one of those like last minute, like, it'd be cool. What if it turned out she was the Doctor?
As if they didn't already do that with John Hurt.
And then they just, okay, she's a Doctor. Let's film
Wow,
it.
this is a totally new idea. Let's do it.
What a thing just to throw in there on a whim. So, the stuff
We
like
can
that.
explain that away with the timeless children, right? Yeah, let's
It's
do
like,
it.
I'm not gonna. Right, the time. Yeah. Ruth. She seemed to handle her guns well, and that's not a very
Yeah.
doctory thing.
No, but that's a different Doctor, isn't it? From a different, I don't know, timeline or era.
Well, unless you're the fifth Doctor.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, we can't go by. Listen, nothing matters. Nothing matters in Doctor Who. Nothing matters in Loki.
I was gonna
nothing
say-
matters. Nothing
What
has
are
consequence.
rules?
She's a Doctor the same way that Sylvie is a Loki. It's
It's a good point.
yeah.
Yeah, she's like, what was my deviation? It's like, well,
That was
I-
brutal. That was a good line. I
It-
gotta admit, where it's like, I don't even know.
Oh,
Like,
I know.
you're not even worth remembering. All I know is we had to prune you.
And she thought about it and then smiled and said she didn't remember.
Yeah.
Like enjoying knowing how much that was going to sting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was definitely a Street Fighter the movie line of like, for me it was a Tuesday, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the worst day of your life. For me, that was a Tuesday. It's just,
Mhm.
it's one of those kind of things. Yeah, that was good.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else we want to add to any of that, I guess?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, you can't even speculate about what's going to happen next at
Right.
this point.
Paul says, if we don't get Young Avengers, I will lead a one-man riot. Yeah, that is another thing I've heard thrown around, Young Avengers, but
Because they're setting up so many Young Avengers stuff. Like the Kid Loki is just yet another reference.
Right.
Kid Loki is another character that they would deal with. So add that to Kate Bishop and everybody else.
Mm.
What's the are there more Marvel Disney Plus shows coming
Is
down the line?
Ms. Marvel is that supposed to be a Disney Plus thing, or is that a Hulu thing?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, what about
Because I know
She-Hulk?
there's other shows that are kind of like licensed out, but I don't know if they're going to be canon, because if they belong to another company, they might not be, just like the Netflix stuff.
She-Hulk is an actual thing too
Right.
that's happening. Which
That's is that one a Disney Plus show too?
I have no idea. I'm a little surprised they're still licensing stuff out.
I mean, the only thing that really comes to mind is like MODOK, and then I heard that there was a Howard the Duck thing, but maybe that got shot down. And those are two characters that it's like, okay, you can have this version of MODOK, because like we're gonna do that.
right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense, but huh. Well, Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't suck, but it was not one that I was particularly wild about, just because it's like that's kind of more the boring side.
Mm-hmm.
But WandaVision, while not completely mind blowing, was pretty good, and Loki so far has been very good. So I will say that these series have been better than I had expected going into them.
Right.
I agree.
They're actually going to have to raise the bar for the movies, I think, because we've
Yeah,
got
right.
we got Black Widow coming up, and I could care very little.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we know how she dies, so like,
Yeah. Well, maybe this will change it, this Loki stuff, but I don't even care if it does. Like, what's the great revelation that we're gonna get? Either she continues to be dead, we get a little bit of backstory for a dead character, or the timeline has changed and we get more Black Widow. Whoop-de-doo.
I guess it kind of depends on, like, I wonder. I'll have to look up what their original timeline for releases were, because I know last year threw everything out of whack, because I think we were supposed to get Loki before we got WandaVision, or no,
Right.
maybe it was. Well, whatever. WandaVision wasn't originally planned as the first one.
Right.
I know what they could do that would make everybody happy. Maybe they could have the TVA go and grab Black Widow after she jumps off the cliff, and then make her a variant, or one of the variant, one of the agency people, and then she can go and do time stuff and be bad, but like she is.
Yeah,
That would
I
be
mean,
nice. Then you can
Black
get
Widow's behind everything.
yeah,
He made
yeah.
some showbiz pizza place, robot timekeepers.
Right.
It's her. She did it.
Yep.
Natasha Romanov, that little minx. No wonder she hates Loki so much.
I like it.
Yeah. Hey, Melanie. What should we be amazed about?
I think this week what you should be amazed about is that they have not entirely, didn't figure out necessarily how it works, but they know that it does work. Embryos appear to reverse their biological clock early in their development. So when you have your what do they call them? I forget what they call them, but the cells, the sex cells that make a baby, they are damaged and age in your body as you age and your cells get damaged, and then they merge together and start to form an embryo. When the embryo attaches to the uterus, they go through a process that reverses all of the aging they've gone through and takes them back to like reset at zero. And they don't really know why, but that's what they're like. They know that it does for sure, and they're studying it to try and figure it out so that they can hopefully recreate that elsewhere. And just if they can figure out whatever mechanism it is that's reversing the aging of the cells, maybe they can use it on other cells also. But I just thought just that it does it in the first place is kind of fascinating to me.
Nope.
This is how we get Planet of the Apes.
Oh no, I was gonna say this is how we get Deer Boys.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Also, which came first then?
What, the deer or the egg?
The deer boy or the egg.
Well, I was gonna do the chicken or the egg, but yeah.
I don't know. It's always the chicken. There were dinosaurs came out of chickens. I mean, dinosaurs came out of eggs long before chickens.
Dinosaurs came out of chickens. You heard it here.
Dinosaurs came out of eggs. Eggs have been around for millions of years. Chickens have only been around for like a million.
Million-year-old chicken hatched dinosaurs. I'm just gonna have a party by myself over here.
All
Don't
right.
mind me. Benjamin Button cells, Paul asks. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I mean, they go back to be fresh again, but then after I think like 10 days or so, they do start aging again. But I think initially they just do it to get rid of all the crap that their parents left, get all the baggage their parents put on them, and then start their own life then.
Leave me alone, chicken parents.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey Jesse, you got anything exciting coming up or anything you want to tell people about?
No, I don't know.
Right?
I'm just living day to day, guys. You guys can check me out at on TikTok at nerdsounds.com, all spelled out with words. That was a terrible idea, but I did it anyway. And you can check me out there, and that's pretty. Oh, you know what? One other thing, just total random thing to talk about at the very end for no reason whatsoever. I started playing Fortnite.
I think, you know what? They're going to have to study chicken eggs and Jesse because they're both regressing in age.
Yeah, really. That's true. I don't even know why. I'm not good at it.
He's blown up on TikTok. He's playing Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
That's cartoon murder.
You guys can't even track me. Like I'm like a variant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just jumping all over. I'm a Sylvie. I just do what I want. And what I want to do is tear down the TVA. That's my whole purpose. Tell me that's not a one-note character. Oh, hot take.
That's a good
Everybody's
point.
favorite Loki is one-note character.
That's a very good point. I've kind of had the same thought. There's not a lot going on with her. I'm still constantly suspicious of her because it's like we don't know what she was really doing.
Yeah.
What's she doing now? Nobody will know. Everybody's like, what's happening in Loki land? But really, like, what's Sylvie doing?
That's right. Eyes on Sylvie.
That makes me think of something. If at least the main judge lady knew who she was, if not the other people, why didn't they prepare him for that a little bit? Loki, I mean, when they sent him out to go help find her.
Right, like why did she tell the guy that was in charge of tracking her down? Also,
yeah.
No wonder, you know what? No wonder he was suspicious because she's like, "No, you can't talk to her. She's too dangerous. You just deal with your Loki." It's like, "No, she was his Loki."
Yeah.
He was like the lead detective hunting down this crazy psycho Loki. It was her who he was hunting down.
Until he caught her.
Until he caught her, it's like, no, she's too dangerous. You can't go in there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
It's weird. It's not weird. It's she's hiding things, but still.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing on TikTok.
So that's what he's doing on TikTok. Tearing down the TVA.
All right. Rock on.
The Steam Summer Sale is going on.
Oh no.
And I've not gone crazy buying games.
Me either.
I did buy one thing, but mainly I've got the games I want to play right now. There's a couple games I've been eyeballing that I've been waiting to come out. They're not out yet, but no, I'm still on that tycoon simulation game kick. So I've got the ones I want, and I'm kind of done with Sims 4 for now. Otherwise, that is potentially an infinite money suck. So
yeah,
it's a Steam Summer Sale. Go check it out, I guess, if you want to waste a bunch of money on games that only what is it? 30% of the games people buy on Steam ever actually get played. Some crazy number like that.
Ton of games that, I mean, yeah, it's informing my computer buying decision. It's like, well, I can't buy a Mac because then I won't be able to play any of these.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. Yeah, I keep hearing, this has not been confirmed. I keep hearing video cards and stuff are coming down in price.
Good.
They'll start coming down. The government passed a thing, and they're going to invest a bunch of money in easing the chip shortage because that's putting a severe hindrance on a lot of industries.
Well, yeah. The other thing that we're looking into is we need to get another car.
A car. And I was about to say,
cars are in high demand right now. So
I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, just like a regular checkup, and the nurse lady that often talk to when I'm there, she was telling me that her husband, they had pre-ordered some truck like a year or 2 years ago or something. And this is a thing people do. They like, I want to buy a 20, like, I don't know, 2 year away vehicle. I'm going to pay for it now. And when you build it, you send it to me or something. Like, apparently that's a thing people do. She got more money than I do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But, they pre-ordered it forever ago. And she's like, we should have had it by now. But now they're like, yeah, we don't have chips for it. We don't have we're waiting on a chip.
We do have salsa.
Right? The guac short supply of
Holy moly guacamole.
No, there's some computer, whatever, for the computer, computer hardware for the car, and also some part for the hood. I don't know. But yeah, she's like, so they're like, maybe 2022 you'll get it. It's like,
wow.
And you paid for that like 2 years ago, and you got to wait like 3 years for that. Like,
I mean, a car is really extreme, but there's been a lot of things. It seems like recently where, like, for Christmas, for example, my mom ordered something for my sister, and in January they sent her a letter saying, "Yeah, we could have that to you by August." Stuff's crazy. Like, I don't know what's wrong with the world anymore, but like timelines are all screwed up, and things aren't getting to the places they need to be.
It was
in
Sylvie
any kind
all
of
along.
timely manner.
It's working.
It was Sylvie all along. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, some of it is not, I guess, a surprise, but some things I just wouldn't assume. But hopefully, point being, video cards will start coming down. Also, manufacturers have started making like okay. Another reason video cards went just astronomical was because of crypto mining and stuff. So they started making versions of the cards that work fine for games, but if they like detect that they're being used to mine cryptocurrency, they'll throttle it. So they're like, so the idea is like, these aren't any good for you guys, for you crypto miners, so don't even bother.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We want to sell these to actual people, not crypto farms,
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway.
Good and bad. Like, good, we can stabilize the market. Bad, we've got to put restrictions on what people can and can't do with their
Right. Like, I'm
stuff.
conflicted about that. Like, it's good, I guess, if it means whatever. I mean, oh God, when I was streaming Skyrim, I was looking at video cards. I so wish I would have spent the money. But I was like, nah, it's not necessary. I'll do it later. Maybe I'll get another one later. And that was just before they started skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wish I would have sold my webcam. Man, I could have bought 3 webcams now.
Right.
Like,
oh, yeah. I remember when Jasper
price
was
has
like,
come down. I'm like, man, I should have sold Jasper my webcam. Not that he could afford to buy it, but like anybody, I should have sold it.
I like Jasper. Yeah.
It's like a $15 webcam, and people were paying crazy money for them.
He was looking for a webcam at the worst time to look for a webcam. And the fact that he ended up getting a DSLR to use as a webcam instead,
Right, it was
like,
cheaper,
just goes to
right?
show you like how ridiculous webcam prices were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Are houses still ridiculously priced right now? I heard recently
The market is weird. Yeah.
people are like
Seller's
bidding
market or
wars and
something.
stuff on crappy houses even. Yeah, stuff's strange. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to get into economics too much.
No, let's not. Let's be done.
Yeah, I heard inflation's gonna.
And because we're almost done, you should go check out the 60s Reboot podcast and fire up the old Bat computer and watch you some Batman 66.
Right. You can seek it right up. Matt will tell you when to start it, and we chat through the whole thing for the most part. Except for the small bits where we just get caught
Where you take a
up in
nap.
watching it. Yeah. we take a nap.
Take a bat nap.
Come back. We discovered something I'd never noticed. That movie has a thing with sea life. Batman murders so many sea life. He just kills all of the animals.
Shark repellent. That's mace.
Shark repellent. They mentioned the bad guys have rigged like an octopus up with mines at some point. That happens off screen, but it gets mentioned.
Right.
And there was some other stuff. It's ridiculous. But all right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Next week, I guess. Let's do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be less disappointed.
Right. If you want to hear more of this, go to grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. Thursdays at 8 p.m. ish. 8:20 is the safe time. Ish. On Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can catch the streams. And, that's it. Patreon.com/Grawlix podcast. All right, take it easy, everybody. Bye.
Bye.